Hello and welcome to NYOOOZ TV. We have with us Mr. Sanjay Jain, who's going to help us understand the common budget even more. Mr. Sanjay Jain is a chartered accountant and practicing management consultancy since more than 2.5 decades. Hello and welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
So what is budget in layman language?
Well, budget, if we compare it our domestic incomes and spending, it is the same thing for the country. So a budget is a statement, annual statement, financial statement which is being prepared by the government for all its revenues and the expenditure, proposed revenues and the proposed expenditure which government is going to receive from the different sources of income for the government expenditures and make the expenditures out of that. So it is an annual statement being prepared by the Government of India and being presented by the Finance Minister before the Parliament every year.
What are the chances of changes in the income tax this year?
Due to this demonetization, every common man has been suffering now. And you see, after this demonetization, the disposable income in the common man has reduced drastically. This is the hard fact of this policy which government has introduced. But it is going to have a long-lasting effect on the economy, and we are expecting that this year our Honorable Finance Minister will give so many sops to these common men in terms of reduction of tax rates, giving some standard deductions, giving some other facilities to the common man, so that they will be in a position to save more and have some disposable income in their hands, so that they can invest or pour in that money into the growth of the country.
Banks in India are having enough funds right now as because of demonetization. So how do you think are there any chances of decrease in repo rate or in reverse repo rate?
Yes, of course. When there is a surplus in the banking system, so to balance the things in terms of banking balance sheets and all, and for receipts and expenditure of the bank and profitability of the banks, so these rates are likely to be changed.
How do you see GST's impact on a common man?
It is going to be impact in a very big way, because in GST there is a system of merging and subsuming all the taxes, direct indirect taxes like excise duty, your service tax and your VAT and your CST and the entry tax as well, and entertainment tax also. So keeping apart the entertainment tax, all these taxes are being borne by the common man these days separately. Once the GST will be in place and it will be implemented, all these taxes will be subsumed and one common GST is likely to be there. In that, there is a fixed rate ranging from 18% to 25% as the government has recently proposed, although it has not been finalized so far. But if for example, if suppose 18% rate is there or say 20% rate is there, then all these taxes which are separately being paid by the common man has been reduced to this extent. For example, right now if you are paying excise duty on a particular product which is somewhere 8 to 10%, then you have to again pay service tax on that or VAT on that or CST on that. So if you take the cascading effect of all taxes, it comes around 25% to 30%, right? So in GST, if it is going to be reduced to 20% or 18%, so common man is going to be benefited like anything, number one. Number two, in the current regime, there is no system of getting senved by the consumer or by the purchaser of the goods. Like if you are paying sales tax or VAT, in the current scenario, you are only getting the credit of VAT only. If you are paying excise duty, and if you are a trader, you are not going to get any benefit out of that. Or if you are paying service tax or you are not providing any output services, then you are not going to get any benefit out of that. But under GST regime, if you are paying all these taxes at one place and you are reselling those goods to other person, you can get the credit of whatever taxes at the input stage you are getting, you are paying, you get the input of that. So this is the biggest advantage, and it is going to reduce the prices of the commodities or the services in totality.
Talking about entrepreneurship, will Make in India initiative help people get more loans from the government?
Yes, of course, because in banking system we are expecting a huge amount to be accumulated in terms of deposits due to this demonetization and all. So when banking are having surplus funds with them, and as our government has introduced these new schemes like Make in India or startup schemes and all those things for the startups, and the for common man, of course. So banking system is liable to introduce such schemes and some loan facilities to all these sectors of the economy, so that they can grow, and we expect that yes, good schemes are going to be there.
In your opinion, what are the practical deterrents faced by the tiny and small industries?
Well, it's a very challenging question and interesting question as well. Tiny sector, due to this demonetization, has suffered a lot, I tell you, because in tiny sector all our artisans or our daily wages workers or our rickshaw pullers and taxi drivers and all these people are covered under tiny sector. So due to this demonetization, these people are not getting the proper cash flow in their hands. So once they are not getting the money in their hands, and gradually when we the other sector like SME sector is one step above the tiny sector. So when SME sector is going to get good loans or good system from the banks, then definitely they will employ these guys with their system, and they will benefited by getting the cash from there practically. But government has to come with some liberal schemes for withdrawal of cash from the banks or from the existing systems.
What concessions and incentives do we expect from the budget, from the upcoming budget, for the following sectors like FMCG?
For FMCG, tax system should be rationalized. How? Because there are different system of taxation in different states. So they must come with a common rate of tax for these FMCG sectors, number one, so that the disparity between the different states and different markets should go away with, right? And for again second thing, the service tax which is being charged on the transportation sector of FMCG, it should be withdrawn for the purpose of development of this FMCG sector. And third thing is that FMCG sector should be given the concessional rate loan, particularly for working capital. Then only this sector can come up with a good result.
The real estate sector has been the most affected sector because of the demonetization. What changes should we expect from the budget, from the upcoming budget for the same?
Well, there is no doubt that real estate sector has really suffered a lot due to this demonetization. And as you know that in real estate sector there is a very common practice that people pay in cash irrespective of their source of income. So one way it is very good thing that government has come with demonetization. Real estate sector has come to its realistic position and realistic prices, and for that government again should incentivize the real estate sector by having some SOPs in terms of rationalizing some existing tax provisions and tax regimes.
One of the prime concerns about this country is health. How health sector is going to be affected by the upcoming budget in terms of taxes?
See, for healthcare industry and for health services, government should come up with good deduction under Income Tax Act. Right now we are having one section in Income Tax Act which gives the the deduction for payment for medical insurance and medical services. Government should come up with a good amount of concession, at least 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees per annum per person as a deduction against the medical expenses. Because if they give this incentive, then definitely the healthcare center will improve, and more people will spend in the betterment of their health, and these organizations who are providing these services, they will also benefit by that.
IT industries is one of the rising sectors of India. How do you think are they going to be affected with the upcoming budget in terms of taxes?
Well, in IT industry also, service tax is the major factor, and to my opinion, government should reduce the service tax for IT industry. If they don't reduce the service tax for IT industry, at least domestically IT industry is going to suffer a lot, because right now also the service tax rate is 15%, and in the proposals given by the government in GST regime, it is going to be 18%. Although it is a proposal, so how far they are going to implement it, God knows, but 18% is quite a high rate for service tax. So to boost the IT industry, government should give incentive in terms of reduction of the service tax at a reasonable level.
India's economy is affected by its travel and tourism as well. So from the upcoming budget, what do you think will this sector face changes?
Yes, for travel and hospitality industry also, the demonetization is a big deterrent to grow, right? And they are also suffered a lot. So government should come with a policy that whosoever is coming to India for tourism purposes or for recreation purposes, they must increase the limit of cash withdrawal for those foreigners in comparison to localites. So if they give the open policy for that if somebody is coming from US or from UK or from other country to visit India and to contribute in the foreign exchange earning of the government of India also, so they must come up with a good handsome limit of cash withdrawal in terms of INR for those foreigners. So it will boost the industry and the bad impact of monetization on foreigners will also taken care of.
How the retired and senior citizens will be affected with the expected change in the income tax?
See, for senior citizens, I don't see any big change in the coming budget, because they have already given very big advantage to senior citizens that they need not to pay advance tax, right? So once they are free from advance tax, it's a big relief for them. And secondly, if they submit their non-tax certificates to the deductors, so their tax are also not being deducted. And in other deposit rates also they are getting the benefit. So they are already into win-win position, and then they are getting the benefit of the schemes of the government schemes under Income Tax Act. So I don't see that there is going to be any big change in this.
Where should one invest smartly in order to save taxes?
Well, common man should invest in NSCs or government schemes and must go for LICs, means life insurance policies, so that they can because they have given a good saving out of that. Plus there is a limit of 2 lakh rupees of interest paid on the housing loan. So what I personally feel is that everybody should, those who are not having their own houses, they must go for their own house, take a loan from the bank and get the tax benefit. If suppose if one is coming under the tax slab of 30% maximum slab and 2 lakh is the deduction amount, so 30% of 2 lakhs is straightforwardly the saving, and the repayment of that loan is also covered under section 80C of the Income Tax Act. So if somebody goes for a housing loan, it is a win-win situation for him. So this is the best investment option to reduce the tax.
Making a conclusion, would you like to add something to it or give any advices or the tax related some more information to the viewers?
See, my very sincere advice to the government, not the investor, that they should come up with the schemes or the policies in such a way that FDI should be attracted in India, and they must come take interest to invest in India, because India has got a tremendous potential in terms of every resources which we are having, be it human resources or natural resources or our infrastructure system or our intellectual property or our intellectual people here. So they must come up with some fantastic policies and schemes to woo the foreign investors.
Thank you so much for speaking with NYOOOZ TV. It was a pleasure having you here.